intelligent member of parliament. I thought I should be there to receive him, and therefore I had to join you on video conference. Uh, Not at the designated hour, but now. My sincerest apologies to all of you, but truly honored to address this vibrant group on a very, very relevant subject. Trade dynamics around the world are going through turmoil. Nobody knows what's happening. And within that, India so far stands out as an oasis. And I do hope and believe we'll be able to continue our position in the months to come so that we power our economy on and continue to grow and continue to lead world growth so and contribute to greater global good so that our people also can benefit in our journey to Viksit Bharat. I'm glad that you are focusing on the maritime trade and logistics sector, which clearly is the backbone to any economic growth or any journey that we are all working on to make India a prosperous country. In fact, there can be no greater logistics marvel than 60 crore people assembling at the Mahakumbh in Prayagraj over a period of 40 days. I think possibly the largest gathering on globe ever at one place. Friends, I'd like to share with you an anecdote about my own family's little journey having some relevance to the logistics sector, not directly though. My father came to Mumbai in 1949, and he worked in a steel company which was working out of Darukhana, Biennial Industries, I think, belonging to the Agarwals. He worked there for 2 years, did not have a place to live in Mumbai as most migrants at that point of time suffered. And he would live in the godown of the company situated at Bombay Port Trust, BPT. He would sleep there in the night. The rats troubled him so much that he would take out the spare parts from the shelves, put them on the ground, sleep on the shelf at night, get ready in the get back all the components on the shelf, get ready and go to work. And look at the irony of things, how destiny takes a full circle. He became the shipping minister in the Vajpayee government, and the same BPT would report to him 50 years later. And that's the India story for all of us. Many of us, our families, have come from very humble backgrounds. Mumbai has been a city which welcomed everybody, a city of opportunity, a city of dreams, and Port Trust or Port Trust and JNPT have been at the forefront of the development of the country, but more particularly of Mumbai. Trade like rivers have to flow freely. And I think the shipping sector connects opportunities around the world with India. And therefore, I think the ports, shipping, logistics sector are lifelines that nourish our economy. And we really need to focus on strengthening our logistics ecosystem. I'm sure you're aware we've doubled our port capacity in the last 10 years. We are looking at significant new investments in the port sector. Vadhavan coming up on the north of Mumbai is going to be one of the world's top 10 ports, a deep draught port which will serve large vessels coming to India. Almost every other port is also going in for massive investment plans. Our port in sector has significantly brought down the turnaround time of ships in the last few years. But obviously, there's always scope for improvement. And I hope the day's proceedings, and I was just looking at your program, it's a very impressive set of subjects, particularly the way you looked at even food security and cyber security and women in logistics. I think it's a brilliantly crafted program. Congratulations to the Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And I have no doubt that going forward, this will help us with a lot of inputs, a lot of feedback on what we can do, what should be the government's agenda in the shipping and logistics sector going forward. Incidentally, almost 95% of our trade volume still goes through the ports. We have very little air shipping, and our 7,500 kilometer coastline as an enabler of trade will, over the years, next few years, certainly give a lot of opportunities for the port sector to grow further. Only the other day, I was taking a aerial view of Dighi Port because we are setting up a large 6,000-acre smart industrial township there. And along with us, MIDC is developing another 8,000 acres. That area is going to become a powerhouse of industry and manufacturing. But I did see Dighi Port has significant advantages. It's a deep draught port, but also as an inland ingress into the land, which can help barging goods to other areas. And I think there's tremendous scope to grow that port also. I'm sure there must be many other ports with huge potential to grow. I'm sure all of you will be looking at capturing these opportunities going forward. Well, when it comes to the two other sectors related to ports, one is making it easier, the logistics ecosystem more friendly, more conducive to handle the large amounts of traffic that we are seeing on the ports. I'm sure all of you are looking at opportunities and will certainly see how we can make it easier. We brought in things like the ULIP platform, the United Logistics Interface platform, to help make life easier. But can only assure you that we'll be happy to receive your ideas and see what more we can do to reduce the logistics time and the logistics paperwork, the whole entire ecosystem linked to logistics. How we can make that better for all of you to follow and make it better for all of you to work through the port system. I think shipbuilding is another area which India needs to focus on. Again, tremendous opportunities in shipbuilding. I do hope that going forward, government also is looking at ways to promote shipbuilding. We have some very good private sector shipyards. We also have government shipyards. But I think the private sector shipyards are still not having enough business. And I probably see some good opportunities there to promote shipping sector and shipbuilding in the country. We on our end are looking at some ways to improve the shipbuilding ecosystem in India. Incidentally, I also believe there's one area where I can get some help from all of you, and that is trying to make flagging of vessels in India more attractive. Currently, I don't see many ships getting flagged in India. Whereas we have the advantage that we can allow cabotage for those who flag their vessels in India. We can also promote more and more imports coming in on Indian flagged vessels, which is permitted within the international trading rules or WTO rules. But sadly, we don't have enough flagged vessels to be able to bring in any such regulation. I'm told that it requires some amendment in the law, whether related to GST or taxation. We do have tonnage on the higher side. Probably needs some amendment to the maritime laws and the regulations around manning these ships. I wish some of you can take this responsibility and guide us on what the government needs to do at the central level or the state level to help companies come and flag vessels in India. I think leasing and financing of or insurance of these vessels is being also promoted through the Gift City. I wonder if any of you have studied that ecosystem and if you think it needs any further liberalization, improvisation, or amendments, we are happy to look at that also to support the entire to come to India. The skill development or training of our seafarers or merchant uh, personnel. I think that's another area where there's huge potential in India and internationally for jobs. And can you all help us design and develop faster ecosystem, possibly a hybrid ecosystem of online and on-the-job training, along with classroom training, so that we can expand the number of seafarers that we develop or we train in India. So there's a huge multiplier impact of the shipping industry. And I think we've not been able to cash in on that multiplier impact yet. Many other areas where we look for your inputs, container ownership, container manufacturing in India, faster speed of exports, ease of congestion in the at the port level. Bear in mind that there's a huge geopolitical shift. Realignment of trade supply chains is going to be a reality. And it is during this period that if we both work together, we can truly become part of the supply chains. We can leverage our free trade agreements better. Some of those we already have. Yesterday, active dialogue with the UK trade minister. We relaunched our negotiations and hope to conclude it soon. 28th and the 1st, I have the 28th, we have the entire EU government led by Her Excellency Ms. von der Leyen, the EU Commissioner, and her 27 commissioner body. It's like the whole government of India, all the ministers traveling out together to one country. It's the first time ever this is happening in the world. The entire government of a major bloc or a major country traveling to a third country is really a time kind of situation. 28, they're all in Delhi with us. And on the 1st, I come to Mumbai with my counterpart, the EU Trade Commission. There's, I had to discuss the FTA with you. There's great things happening. This month, we've had international delegations of 130 companies from Israel, 100 companies from Switzerland and Norway and Liechtenstein and Iceland. I have 330 companies coming in from Belgium on the 3rd to Delhi and Mumbai. Before that, we had a Qatari Swedish delegation of 100 odd companies. The whole world is looking up to India. It's for us to seize the opportunity. And I'm sure the distinguished panel that I see before me and all the stakeholders in this sector will certainly use digital technologies, AI driven cargo tracking, blockchain blockchain-based trade documentation, automated customs clearance to help seamlessly move the logistics sector on a fast forward and future ready ecosystem to support India's growth story. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I am still in the car on the way to my constituency. Happy to take a few questions, if any. Thank you.
Piyush. This is Hajira. Greetings to you and Seema. As you know, I had the privilege and great pleasure of working with your late father, Ved Prakash ji, when he was our honorable minister. I had visited your late parents as well as your residence for Ganesh Chaturthi and things like that. My question is, you mentioned about geopolitical change. Now, Donald Trump policy, while his policies vis-a-vis China, Canada, and Mexico could be good opportunities for India, but at the same time, the same Donald Trump policy can hit our exports very badly. Now, with our vision of $1 trillion of merchandise exports, I know Government of India is giving a lot of measures, but I would like you to highlight a few salient measures, how you are thinking of, facilitating the exports from India. Thank you.
Sir, US and India are not competitive. Complement each other. If you look at our strengths, competitive strengths, and their competitive strengths, they're completely different. So our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, has already met Donald Trump, and we shall soon be engaging with our counterparts there. I don't see any great difficulty in being able to strike a very attractive trade deal. That'll be a win-win for both countries, add to jobs and business opportunities to both countries, and have a more balanced trade. Because end of the day, India is at its growth phase. 1.4 billion aspirational Indians looking for a better life in the future, generating huge demand for goods and services. America has their strengths in technology, in high-tech industry, high-tech manufacturing, which we need in India for becoming a quality nation. So I think we work together with the United States as partners, as strategic, as friends, and further develop this relationship for the good of Indian industry, Indian business. I am fairly confident we will be able to leverage this, and as Prime Minister Modi has done in the last 11 years, convert this so-called challenge also into an opportunity.
Sir, I represent a ship agency company. I would appreciate if you could clarify, the government's trade policy with regard to Iran trade. There's a lot of confusion because the banks don't accept the document. Not only banks, even some of the insurance companies don't accept or approve the documents to be used for Iran trade, while there is absolutely no restriction between India and Iran as far as the trade is concerned. So with the result, some of the operators are using, a parallel document without sufficient insurance cover. And the banks are reluctant to negotiate it also. So if the government can come out with some clarity on this trade, it will assist the trade. Thank you.
Well, I think we are all aware of the sanctions on Iran, and one has to work within the ambit of those sanctions. Otherwise, you are at risk of your own business getting sanctioned. I remember we used to work with Iran through probably UCO Bank or somebody who doesn't have any operations in any other country internationally. And they used to hold the Nostro accounts of Iran at some point of time. Is that right, Nilesh? So one will have to carefully see which business you're talking of. Government cannot give a one-size-fits-all solution. within for trade with a country which is having its own geopolitical problems. And people who do any of this, what you said, alternate documents or some such thing, do so at their own risk and peril. Government of India would not encourage any of them.
Thank you, sir. So, I'm Captain Ram here, again representing the Agents Association here. Now, a simple thing like we kudos to the government over the last 20 years for the ease of doing business and what have you, digitalization and everything, various initiatives taken on that account. But we still have miles to go on the real ease of doing business and to really address the issue of malaise, of corruption and various other things in the real-time issues. Nobody wants to bell this cat. Everybody talks beautifully right on the paper. Everybody wants to be goody-goody man. Everybody wants to talk to the government on the right face. Nobody wants to bell the cat. And here I am being the right person. I hope. I'm asking you, what real, actual initiatives you are going to be doing on that, sir?
Sir, I'm glad you have raised this question. My angst is very similar to yours, but there's only two ways to sort it out. One, we have to speak up. We'll all have to give ideas. Ultimately, what is government? Government is your representative. You will have to tell us what needs to be done, how we can bring in more transparency, what are the steps we can take to reduce the burden on you, make it easier to do business. But tell me, sir, after all, when we look at corruption, somebody is paying because of it, somebody is receiving that money. आप जितने इस कमरे में बैठे हैं, and all the stakeholders and all your members, if you all decide you are not going to give a single penny and not look for shortcuts and not cheat, after all, we all know furniture comes in with a misdeclaration. We all know a lot of goods are coming from China with misdeclaration. And we all want to clear all of those goods also. We are all complicit in the whole ecosystem. We manage the ecosystem and get things because our clients want it. अगर आप सब मिलके तय कर लो, आज ही तय कर लो, आज के दिन अच्छा दिन है, कल शिवरात्रि है, बहुत ही शुभ दिवस पे आपने एक कॉन्फ्रेंस रखी है, सब जितने बैठे हैं और सब एसोसिएशन के चीफ्स कमिट कर दो कि हम आज से ₹1 नहीं देंगे. सर, आई ऑल्सो बीन एन इम्पोर्टर एंड एक्सपोर्टर इन माई यंग डेज. शुरू में तो पता नहीं था कि लफड़ा क्या हो रहा है, क्यों माल अटक रहा है कस्टम्स में. आस्ते आस्ते हम भी जुड़ गए, जॉइन द बैंड वैगन. पर तभी वो इकोसिस्टम नहीं था केंद्र में या सरकार में who was willing to support you if you are willing to fight the system. I promise you, if all of you decide, and by the way, Nilesh is also a chartered accountant, I am a chartered accountant. मैं तो कई बार कहा है, forget everybody else, if only the chartered accountants of this country decide we will not certify anything which is inaccurate or does not reflect the true and fair picture. और आपके जो miscellaneous charges के सब bills होते हैं, we stop allowing those bills and make a mention that there's 20 lakh rupees of miscellaneous charges in all the customs bill of entries that you have filed or bills that you raised on clients. अपने आप दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी होने लग जाएगा. तो ultimately government क्या करेगी? Please tell me, give me a solution. मैं कैसे रोक सकता हूँ आपके miscellaneous charges को? मैं कैसे रोकूंगा कि आप लोग सब मिलके इस पूरे प्रोसेस को क्लीन करने में हेल्प करिए. माफ करिएगा, आई एम सॉरी टू गिव अ वेरी, आई हैव टू बाउंस द बॉल बैक ऑन यू, बट मेरे पीछे कोई विकेट कीपर नहीं है, तो इससे मुझे स्ट्रेट ही खेलना पड़ेगा.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
प्रदीप शाह बैठे हैं, मुझे लगता है आई कैन सी द बैक साइड. इज दैट प्रदीप शाह? या देखो, हम आपको पीछे से भी पहचान लेते हैं. आप एक फोन भी नहीं करते हो प्रदीप भाई इतने दिनों में.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you very much, Piyush. I wondered with you're in a very unenviable situation with Trump on one side and CBAM, the Europeans putting in, and so. But I was wondering whether I could ask you about the April 1st tariffs on pharma. Has proposed for pharma. At least that it's in their interest not to put the 25% duties. So that's what I hope you can plead for, reviewing that part of it and carving out pharma. And $7.5 billion of Indian exports are affected otherwise. Thank you.
Well, I beg to differ, Pradeep bhai. First of all, of course, we all know in this current situation, there's hardly any discussions happening or pleading that you keep one sector out or the other sector out. यहाँ तो तीर लगे जा रहे हैं पर पता नहीं लग भी रहा है नहीं लग रहा है क्या होगा पूरा अनसर्टेनिटी है बट बाय द वे गॉट फीडबैक डिस्कस pharma industry and frankly 10-20% tariff doesn't bother them. They are very, very clear and they've told us the steel sector that it is not going to hurt them. They are very bullish about the future and potentially future growing business with America. And I'll also share with you, what is our biggest export in pharma to the US? Is it generics? And if generics is the main product that we are exporting, it's so low cost and low on technology, whereas the retail price is 10 times what we are exporting it at. So even if on our export price there's a duty, it'll hardly hurt the final retail price by 1 or 2%, 5%. So I'm not so sure that American manufacturers will be able to replace our generic pharma products, even at 1.5 or 2 times the price of what we are supplying it. So I won't take names of companies, but I can talk to you privately. Pharma has told us not to worry. And by and large, we'll cross this hump well, Pradeep bhai. Don't worry, Prime Minister Modi and Trump share a good relation. They've had a good set of meetings. And we'll take care of all of your interests. Rest assured. इतना पैनिक जो स्टॉक मार्केट में दिख रहा है इतना इंडस्ट्री को पैनिक करने की जरूरत नहीं है स्टॉक मार्केट वाले नीलेश भाई के सहित थोड़े वीक नीड होते हैं
Sir, quickly, one supplementary to the previous one. I thank you for playing straight, as you said, straight without a wicket keeper. Thanks for literally addressing the issue and acknowledging the issue. So one small thing, सिर्फ ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि when we go to the higher ups, right up to the higher up, when we go even to the top, and if they pay, it hurts. Especially when you say no, and after you say no, where can you go? Go right to the most higher up. And thereafter, when it is like we are pushed out, then that is where it hurts. Probably this is my last. I know that you can't answer this.
No, I'll answer you. Sir, I think what I said was not an individual action. Individual action will certainly hurt. If 5 individuals start doing that, it's going to hurt probably. They could react badly. It'll have to be a collective action of the whole industry. मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ इन लुधियाना आपने भी पढ़ा होगा सुना होगा when there was some irrational demands being made and some tax officials started troubling the industry over there, they all ganged up. And once they all decided we won't give a single rupee of bribe, and the entire Ludhiana industry over there, they had to come back empty-handed. They couldn't do a damn all. क्या करेंगे 10 दिन के लिए पोर्ट बंद कर देंगे क्या सब शिपमेंट क्लियरेंस आप बताइए मुझे पर वो सबका कलेक्टिव एक्शन होना पड़ेगा मेरे भी ऑफिस में कुछ होता है तो जरूर मेरे तक बताइए ब्रिंग इट राइट अप टू माय लेवल और ऐसे ही सभी जगह टेक इट टू द हाईएस्ट लेवल पर माय एक्सपीरियंस इज मोर ऑफन देन नॉट वी आर टेकिंग अ शॉर्टकट I'll give you an example. I went to Aurangabad 1 week ago, and they were saying that there's some problem they're having with environmental clearance. Whereas we have an environment clearance for the entire zone. It's an industrial city made by the government of India. So I immediately called up the environment minister. I called up the chief minister, and we are making sure that nobody will get harassed. And I publicly told all those industry guys there, don't pay a single rupee. If nobody pays, nobody can bother you.
Namaskar, sir. This is Rajiv Jalota, former chairman, Mumbai Port Authority. I have just a small question. How do you
राजीव,
perceive?
इसका क्या सोल्यूशन है जो लोग बोल रहे हैं? आप तो बीपीटी के चेयरमैन रह चुके हो.
नहीं नहीं सर, आप सही बोल रहे हैं कि दोनों तरफ से मतलब सरकार के सर कंट्रोल करना सीनियर्स का काम है. दूसरी तरफ से अगर कोई नहीं करता तो कोई कुछ कर नहीं सकता सर. डेफिनेटली. एंड डिजिटलाइजेशन सर काफी अच्छा कर रहा है. जो नेशनल लॉजिस्टिक्स पोर्टल वगैरह बनाया है उससे लाइफ काफी इजी होगी सर. धीरे धीरे जैसे इंटीग्रेट हो. यहाँ पर कोशिश यही सरकार की रह रही है कि सर लोगों को फेसलेस होना पड़ेगा. मतलब हमारे ऑफिस में आना ना पड़े, हम डिजिटल के द्वारा काम करें तो ये रेंट सीकिंग धीरे धीरे कम होगा सर. इट विल हैपन. सर मेरा छोटा सा सवाल है कि हाउ डू यू परसीव आईमेक कॉरिडोर एज पोटेंशियल एक्सिम ट्रेड ग्रोथ कैटलिस्ट?
देखिए, अभी आज के दिन तो there's a lot of enthusiasm for IMEC, but it's a long drawn story because we do recognize and respect that entire region is having a problem right now. We still have to see some of these problems getting sorted out. We've got to see the Palestine-Israel conflict come to an end. But I think the intention is very clear. And if this does take off, and we are very confident it will have a game-changing transformational impact because we'll literally go on the land route all the way up to Europe. So there can be transformational impact on the Indian trade scenario and our integration with world economies, including the developed world. We are very committed to it. We are seeing a lot of commitment from many other countries. There will be a lot of problems also. There will be some who will be affected negatively with this IMEC corridor. Some countries in between who are big logistics hubs could also create some hurdles. But so far, I've seen a lot of traction and positivity for the concept. It certainly is a long run effort. It's not going to happen in a hurry or overnight. But I'm sure that going forward, this will hold a lot of potential. And just to, labor that point again, ये चीजें धीरे धीरे नहीं होती है. आप लोग एक 6-8 लोगों की कमेटी बनाइए इसी कॉन्फ्रेंस में, हमें बताइए हम क्या ईज कर सकते हैं, पर वो ईज करते वक्त मिसयूज का भी ध्यान रखिए. हमारे पास बहुत शिपिंग एजेंट्स हैं, बहुत क्लियरिंग हाउस एजेंट्स हैं, जो जब भी हम ईज करते हैं और ट्रस्ट बेस्ड मैकेनिज्म लाते हैं तो चीट करना शुरू करते हैं. वी सी अ स्पाइक इन Chinese and Vietnamese import. We see a huge amount of under invoicing happening. तो थोड़ा आप लोग को भी फिर विसल ब्लोअर्स बनना पड़ेगा कि आपके पास जो क्लाइंट टेढ़ा मेढ़ा काम लेके आते हैं का पर्दाफाश आपको भी करना पड़ेगा. पर इसके लिए हमारे पास समय नहीं है. धीरे धीरे मैं तो नहीं बिलीव करता हूँ. मुझे लगता है हमने कोशिश करके इसके ऊपर सभी ने चिंता करनी चाहिए.
थैंक यू.
मेरी तो बहुत इच्छा है कि हम लोग मिलके कुछ इसमें करें.
Piyush, good evening. This is Captain Rana from TK Tankers. We are one of the world's oil tanker company, leading oil tanker company. So basically, I attended the seminar and there's a lot of focus of Indian government about the shipbuilding. So I was just wondering what is on offer from the government side for a foreign ship owner to build ships in India? Because when I remember, like, let's say 14 years ago or something, when Chinese shipyards actually pulled out a lot of business from Korea, the Chinese government was a lot of backing, they gave to their shipyards, support financially also, and to the, the level of reaching. and they invited or they kind of got the various owners the ships built in China. So what kind of, the offer from government, financial or, which kind of support or, some, what the owners can get? Thank you.
Well, I think we are already seized of the matter. We are talking to several shipping company owners. We have also had a dialogue with some governments, sovereign wealth funds, to see if we can collaborate with governments on building ships in India and what needs to be done on the entire ecosystem to promote shipbuilding in India. I'll welcome any suggestions that you have. What were the incentives which moved the market to China? Are they still continuing? What really is the price differential which needs to be bridged to make Indian shipping attractive? We'll need a little bit of input and guidance from all the friends who are in the room or even beyond all of you. If you can help us with some support. I talked, for example, with the Mediterranean Shipping Company, MSC, and they are looking very seriously for their growing needs of ship building to come to India. I'm sure there'll be others around the world. And we need to set the ecosystem right. Please give us some guidance what we need.
Thanks also for taking time out of your busy schedule and doing it even on EC on the way to the location. You have given us enough homework. We'll work from our members to give you suggestions on the improvement on ULIP platform, suggestions for shipbuilding and flagging of ships in India. And we'll also work about how to finance shipbuilding through GIFT City and also suggestions on skill development of merchant Navy seafarers. We'll continue to work with your office to pass these suggestions and hopefully we'll be able to create a trade system in India which is free flowing like the river. Thank you so much for your time. On behalf of Bombay Chambers, I really thank you from the bottom of my heart.
A huge round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely talking and meeting with all of you. All the best for your conference. And I will look forward to your inputs. I hope nobody minds some of my comments, but that really is possible. We'll do whatever it takes, whatever you guide us, but it'll ultimately have to be a collective effort of all stakeholders. Thank you, guys. And good luck for the rest of the evening. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Nilesh. Over to Shrikant. You can take the panel forward.
Yeah, so I'll just request, the fellow member from taking over from,
So I'll just continue from what the minister has said, because hearing the word PM Gati Shakti, he was asking where do we stand? See, anyway, I'll just take